Ronin, Axie token. Despite suffering the biggest hack in crypto history, over $625 million stolen, their tokens are slightly up.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like the whole market is taking it in stride. As you said, this is one of the biggest hacks in crypto history, and the market's just kind of shrugging it off, which is really notable in a way. As you said, the DeFi DFX index is up, even though this was a DeFi hack. You have just the market all across the board not really reacting. And I think in some ways, I mean, maybe that's a sign that the market is mature. There's so much going on in crypto. This one incident just can't dominate everything in the way that maybe it could in the past.
Yeah, it could mean that the market is mature. Crypto doesn't make sense sometimes. All right. It may be easy to steal over $625 million on a publicly viewable blockchain. Much harder to keep it, however. Immediately after thieves stole USDC and ETH from the Ronin network, home to the wildly popular play-to-earn game Axie Infinity, they used centralized exchanges to deposit ETH. Joining us now to discuss is former CIA agent Adam Darrah, currently director of Dark Ops at ZeroFox. Hello there, Adam. Thanks for joining us. So it seems this Ronin hacker or hackers made a couple of missteps, but how likely is it that they could be caught?
Well, that's a great question. I don't know necessarily they made any missteps. I think they may have been in over their head. I don't know if they were
on centralized exchanges.
Like, just because you're awesome at hacking doesn't necessarily mean that you're awesome at what happens after you hack. Like, what do you do with $600 million after you put it on these central exchanges? Well, I think you do what we're seeing, which, some reports suggest, they cashed out a little bit, but like the rest of it's just sitting there because maybe they miscalculated exactly how much they were in fact going to get as a result of this really amazing, interesting, sophisticated hack.
So just to confirm what's actually going on here, the last that I checked, there was almost $600 million in ETH in the suspected hacker's account, right? I mean, obviously the price of ETH is fluctuating. So yesterday it was like 590 something. So is that really what's going on? I mean, like literally the vast majority of these funds are just sitting in one wallet, potentially because of the problem you just said that like there's just no place for it to go.
Yeah, that's a head scratcher for me as well. What we're seeing on our side is, oftentimes when criminals and sophisticated hackers, they get a hold of large amounts of money in cryptocurrency, name your crypto, it immediately hits a wallet and then just boom, hits several wallets, and it's laundered many times, it's tumbled, and then they try to use either reputable exchanges, they try to use like not so reputable exchanges, or they try to get money mules that have a good reputation that can use reputable exchanges. And so the fact that it's sitting there suggests to me a couple of things. One, they underestimated what it would take to cash out that much money. Two, they're making a point. Perhaps they're just making a point saying, hey, they could be pro-crypto enthusiasts going, hey guys, get your act together, get your security house in order, because we're all on board, man. This is the future. This is inevitable. Let's shore up some of these security issues. So it remains to be seen. I haven't seen a lot of chatter on responsibility, which is interesting in this ecosystem. People are usually quick to say, yeah, that was me. I'm awesome.
It seems like people are too busy like minting NFTs or something. I don't know. The market's just not even reacting to this. But more seriously, to follow up on what you just said, can you explain, like you're explaining to, a small child, to the extent that small children are interested in hacking, can you explain that, very simply what, about this scenario might have made this blockchain more vulnerable to hackers? Because I think like there's some, was there something specific here in this structure that made it, easier for a hacker to take this much money?
Yes. So cryptocurrency at all levels has a target on its back. It's perhaps one of the most talked about ways, and perhaps one of the most lucrative ways to steal people's money, from the individual user, from up to the big whales, right? To the exchanges, to the back-end infrastructure, to everything. Crypto has a target on its back because for the same reasons we in the civilized above-ground economy love crypto and embrace it and love the freedom that it brings to participate in an economic system are the same reasons people on the other side of that also love it, right? It's hardish to trace, and they love the freedom and they love having money. And so So, you know, it's constant in the crypto world. The exchanges are under attack, individual users, malware, everything is being directed at crypto wallets, crypto enthusiasts. And this just, to me, looks like a target of opportunity rather than, hey, like, let's go after this back end thing. It's like, hey, let's spray and pray and figure out the best way in to get at what we want.
But, okay, at the same time, though, crypto exchanges could be, under constant attack, people, networks, et cetera. But so are these hackers. I mean, everyone is going to take a look at this $600 million and try to track where it goes. If some went to centralized exchanges, those have KYC rules, know your customer rules, unless, they bought it on some market, those access to those accounts, or usually perhaps they would consider working with an intermediary. But when we look at other hacks in the past, like the DAO hack, Bitfinex, other great hacks in the history of crypto, those funds have eventually been seized or the hackers have been identified. So, I mean, the likelihood of this, of the funds being returned or figuring out who this person is, what do you think?
It looks high. It looks very likely that those behind it will either come out eventually and take credit for it because of where it's sitting right now. And according to the reports that I'm reading, it's inevitable. It's more inevitable than not that either and they will get their funds returned, somehow seized by the proper law enforcement authorities, or the group or IPs associated with the group, because of the reasons you mentioned, KYC, et cetera, will be found out. I mean, it seems more inevitable than not. And which suggests to people like me that perhaps maybe this was done more of a, yes, there was some financial incentive, but also as a kind of a poke and kind of like to flex some expertise and bona fides in the criminal underground.
So just following up on Christine's point, if the hackers are found out, say by law enforcement or Chainalysis, who I believe is currently, looking into this, what would be some of the ways that they might be found out? Would it be, for example, they're trying to cash out of a centralized exchange? I mean, that seems like the most obvious one, some KYC thing. But what are some of the methods that some of these, Chainalysis or law enforcement or whoever could use to actually try to identify these hackers?
Wallet addresses, IPs. Usually, crimes of this magnitude, the individuals behind it are in countries that don't have an extradition agreement with the United States of America or any Western European, North American, country, and so they feel very emboldened and empowered to do this. So, my guess would be that even if they are found out, it is more likely than not that they're not in a country where there are serious implications criminally to hold them liable. Judging from the past year and a half of the increase in data extortion, ransomware, I feel like the cost of doing business is part of it is getting your part of your funds seized when it hits your wallet, and eventually you're found out. So yeah, they're going to use IPs, KYC, wallet addresses. They're going to use their computer robots to make those connections and eventually unmask digitally who's behind this.
Yeah, I just want to bring attention to last September when developers of the JPEGs Automart NFT project successfully intimidated the hacker into returning funds by ordering miso soup to their house, which is interesting. So perhaps they will find whoever stole this money. I'm wondering, does this to you seem like a professional, an amateur, or an inside job?
Ooh, the insider threat. Yeah, so I don't want to speculate too much on the insider threat because let me be clear, the insider threat is real. It's growing in popularity, and we're seeing more and more solicitations for insiders in underground markets and forums where we play. So I don't want to downplay that possibility. I will say this, yes, the sophistication was high in the tradecraft of the actual hacking, which suggests to me that they are highly skilled at this very interesting niche thing, or the group that they roll with are very skilled in this thing. But what we're seeing is some immaturity in next steps. Okay, we just stole $600 million. What now? So yeah, like, yes, there's a high level of sophistication and technical acumen, tempered with lots of interesting missteps that I wouldn't have thought would be missteps for people who could pull this off. So I think we're seeing a mixed bag here, unless they did this intentionally. I don't want to give too much credit, but where credit is due, I will say that if their intention was to bring it to spotlight and highlight some security flaws in the crypto, these could be pro-crypto people that are like, yes, we love crypto, get your act together, look what we can do.
They could be white hats. It's not too late.
Come clean, y'all. Come back to the fold.
I also want to ask you, why did no one notice this until now? Because this hack actually happened a week ago that, 600 million just went missing.
Oh, that's touchy. That could get touchy here. So the hack may have been known much earlier than that. In my experience, when great companies, again, upright, by the book companies, when they experience something very sensitive, a breach or a hack, there's a lot of due diligence that's done before you go public with this. I mean, this was a big deal. And so number one, I want to say I'm very sorry this happened. Like, this is good night. Like, this is a nightmare. I mean, you wake up and you lose $600 million. I mean, this is real people's money. These are paychecks. These are pensions. This is health insurance. Like, there are real world implications to what happened. So this is awful. But so I want to be clear that just because it was publicly disclosed a week ago doesn't mean necessarily that, Ronin didn't do its due diligence and really tried to understand what happened before they came public. I mean, in my experience, great companies, that's what they do. They don't rush to the cameras. They don't make a spectacle of this. They want to make sure everything's in order because they care about their users and they care about the security, So I don't want to speculate too much, but yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if they knew about it earlier. It's a tech firm. They're awesome at tech. And so they probably knew about it beforehand.